Welcome to Visualize Your Vocabulary Volume 2. Turn any SAT and ACT word into a picture and remember it forever. Let's get this started with lay. Alright, our first word is effusion. Where is this? Yes, effusion. Effusion is a noun, and this just basically means to have a discharge, to be unable to have like an effusion, to have an unwavering kind of thing. Like these suns over here, a few suns. You remember this like this. The suns themselves are pretty effusions. They're pretty. Their personality is infusions, and so they just go ahead. They're calm, and they don't really care about how this family portrait comes out, this photo comes out, except for the little son that is, except for the little girl that is. And so you remember this with a few sons. Yay, a few sons, and I'm an only child. All right. This one's actually pretty funny. Next up, we have preclude. Preclude is a verb, and this just basically means to go ahead and prevent something from happening. This is how you remember it. You remember it with pre-glue. There's a kid on his first day in primary school, and he anticipates that he'll have anxiety for being away from his mom. So he went ahead and pre-glued himself to his mom's hand without her knowing. And now, well, she's stuck here. He prevented her from going away today, but what about tomorrow? What about tomorrow? Alright, next up we have categorical. Categorical is actually one of those easier words because you pretty much use them in everyday life. Categorical is an adjective, and this just basically means to go ahead and you're organizing something, to organize them, certain things. Categorical things are like certain things. And so there's this old lady who likes cats a lot, and whenever she needs an important decision, she goes ahead and asks the cat oracle. It always gives an emphatic yes or no. Never goes ahead and wishy-washies the answer. Alright, next word we have benefactor. Benefactor is a noun, and this just basically means someone who goes ahead and gives away things. To be like a patron. When you're a benefactor, that just basically means you're a patron. Here, our benefactor here is benefactor. Benefactor, you have been given the Benefactor Award because you have been the most giving person in this entire community. It's obviously, we can say this for certain, you have been the greatest influence in our community at all times. Now that's actually pretty nice of them to say. Next up, we have illicit. In 1933, Hitler was starting to come into power, and so Albert Einstein was going to leave the country then. And there are certain things that you weren't allowed to take out of the country. And then Albert Einstein himself went ahead and did this. He tried to smuggle an eel. This probably didn't actually happen, but just bear with me here. Hitler himself went ahead and checked his luggage himself, personally. And then he found the eel, and he said, illicit. That's how you remember illicit. That's how you remember illicit, the word illicit. And then he shocks Albert Einstein with it, which makes him make the famous face. And the crazy hair. And then he goes ahead and sends Albert on his way. I think, if that was real, I think that's what have inspired him. Next up, we have affluent. Affluent is an adjective, and this just basically means rich. And when you're rich, of course you're pretty rich. I wonder what you do with all that money. If you have more money than you know what to do with, what would you do? Put it in the bank. They're gonna put you in for money laundering. So, I don't know, maybe put it in a cash box. There we go. Alright, affluent people. Now, this is the most richest person. You remember affluent with a flute. Now, the most affluent person in the entire world has this flute, but instead of playing music, it makes out da-la da-la bitch. Alright. Next up, we have flaccid. Flaccid is an adjective, and this just basically means to make something flappy. Like, this is rigid, this is flaccid. It also basically means flabby. So, yeah. Now, there's a student in the science lab who does not listen to instructions, and then he decides one day, what if? And then he mixes these two chemicals together, and then he puts the lid on top, like this. Luckily for the student and everyone else in the lab, it doesn't explode in his face, but it does make the lid a bit flabby, and it just sinks down into the ground. I wonder what would happen to the flask. I see the flask would, leak. And maybe then the chemicals would go ahead and melt the earth. That wouldn't be a good idea until it, of course, reaches the hot stuff. And then it turns into gas, and I'm not sure how that gas will do anything as well, too. It's just science geek. Next up, we have haphazard. Haphazard is basically an adjective, and it's, well, technically a noun here. It's a noun that just basically means to be, hazard. If you know what hazard means, well, you'll know what haphazard means. It just basically means you're aimless. You go ahead, do things haphazardly. You aimlessly do things too. There's this giant gargantuan person who throws away hats and it just reappears on his head as fast as it goes away. And where he just throws them anywhere. It knocks into people and he has no care. He doesn't care at all for where it lands. He doesn't care if it kills someone. Also, I highly don't think it killed someone. Then again, this proves otherwise. Alright, next up we have allege. Allegedly, just basically allege. Allege just basically means to go ahead and say something that is certain. When something's allegedly, he said it allegedly. That just basically means he said it. He's the only one who said it. Also, there's not much proof. Like if you ever watched even like the two-set violins, the Age and Parents Got Talent. Well, then you remember Stephen. He's saying, so my dad allegedly went to China and got the best wood in the world, and so that he allegedly got it and brought it back to me. Allegedly. Oh, that's a pretty funny word. That's pretty much also how I knew the word too. Next up we have indulge. Indulge is a verb, and this just basically means to go ahead and give in to something. When you indulge in your cravings of potato chips and french fries and water. I'm not sure why you would have craving for water though, unless you're thirsty. Well, then that just basically means you've indulged into it too. This person has indulged into her bakery and her sweet stuff until she's bulged. Kids, don't copy this woman. Don't copy this woman. Don't copy this woman. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Now it's time for the final test. Indulge, verb. Allege, verb. Haphazardly, adjective. Flaccid, adjective. Affluent, adjective. Illicit, adjective. Benefactor, noun. Categorical, adjective. Preclude, verb. Effusion, noun. And so with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I hope to see you guys soon in the next time we go on Word Nerd Visualize Your Vocabulary. I hope that wasn't cringe. See you guys soon. Bye!